Ever feel like even when your English is, technically perfect, you still sound a bit, well, textbooky.
Hmm.
Like the words are all correct, but that natural flow just isn't quite there.
Yeah, it's a really common hurdle, I think, especially for people pushing towards that C1 level.
It really is. You can have amazing vocab, perfect grammar, but
That's how you say it, right? The delivery.
yeah.
That's what makes you sound engaging, well, human.
Exactly. And that's what we're really diving into today. Our goal is to give you some concrete techniques, how to dish that stiff phrasing,
Get rid of the formality, yeah.
nail those strategic pauses, bring some life into your voice. So you sound like you're actually talking to someone, not, reading a manual.
We want to help you move beyond just being correct to sounding genuinely authentic when you speak English.
Oh, I can definitely relate. I think I actually put someone to sleep once using furthermore in just a casual chat. Seriously.
Oh, no. Furthermore, yeah, that'll do it.
Lesson learned the hard way. So, by the end of this deep dive, you'll have some really practical things you can use, ways to sound more articulate, more human, and definitely less like a walking grammar guide.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe looking at the difference, that contrast between, let's call it robot mode and human mode.
Perfect. Yeah, let's illustrate that. Can you spot the difference here? Let's say we're talking about climate change. Robot mode might sound like,
I am of the belief that climate change represents a significant issue.
hmm, grammatically perfect, sure. No mistakes there.
Right.
But it like spark, doesn't it? It feels a bit distant, not very conversational.
Right. Now, take the same basic idea, but in human mode, maybe something like, look, climate change. It's clearly getting worse.
Ah, see? Totally different feel.
One's formal, stiff. The other is direct, much more like how you'd actually, talk to a friend about it.
Yeah, that directness is key. And the language choices. Stuff like, I am of the belief that it just signals, formality straight away. So, to help you figure out where you might be on this spectrum, we've got a quick little diagnostic test.
Great.
Try this. Just record yourself answering a simple question, like, what's your favorite book? Use your phone, whatever.
Okay, simple enough. And then,
And listen back.
Yeah.
And, be honest. Does it sound a bit like you're giving a mini TED Talk? Like it's scripted?
if it does, yeah, then the tips we're about to share could be really helpful for you.
Okay, let's get into some practical stuff, some instant upgrades to help get that natural flow going. First one, and it's a biggie, contractions.
Ah, yes?
For natural speech, they're not just like recommended, they're pretty much mandatory, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it. How often does a native speaker actually say, I do not know, in a normal chat?
Almost never.
It's always, I don't know.
Always.
It seems small,
Yeah.
but it makes a huge difference to the rhythm, the feel. It's about efficiency in speech, I guess.
Totally. Okay, next thing. Those academic sounding transition words in everyday conversation.
Right. Like, moreover, furthermore.
Yeah, exactly. They're fine in writing, formal essays. But in a chat, they can sound a bit much.
A bit out of place, yeah. So instead of moreover, what could you use? Maybe just plus or and also or even anyway, depending on the context.
Right, something lighter. Keeps the conversation flowing more naturally.
Using those heavy connectives too much can just feel a bit artificial maybe. Creates distance.
And the third instant upgrade, embracing sentence fragments.
Interesting. Explain that.
Well, sometimes saying less actually sounds more natural. Like instead of a full sentence, which is why I think we should do this.
You could shorten it.
Yeah, maybe just hence, but that's still a little formal. Or even just so, or which is why, on its own.
Right. Those fragments mimic how we actually talk. We don't always speak in perfectly formed sentences. It's more broken up, but still makes sense.
Yeah.
Captures that real conversational rhythm.
Exactly. Now, we don't have a live example right here, but imagine someone saying something super stiff like, due to the aforementioned circumstances, I've arrived at the subsequent conclusion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Using these upgrades, you could change that into maybe. So because of all that, I figured, so with all that considered, I guess.
See, huge difference.
Yeah.
So much more natural.
Which brings us nicely to the next point.
Which is?
Pauses.
Exactly. The power of the pause. Native speakers use them all the time, strategically, often without even realizing it.
Yeah, they do. And for different reasons, right?
Totally. Like, you can use a pause for dramatic effect.
Huh?
Imagine saying, the results were pause.
Mm.
Shocking.
Right. Builds that little bit of tension and anticipation.
Or pauses can just be, well, thinking time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Instead of just filling silence with, and constantly.
A short, natural pause can actually make you sound more thoughtful, more considered. Like, it's kind of pause, pause, complex.
That, acts like a little bridge there.
Okay.
But the pause itself feels natural, like you're genuinely thinking it through.
So we've got a little exercise for you to try with this.
Okay.
Take the sentence. That's an interesting question. Simple sentence.
Now, say it out loud, but try pausing in different places. Pause before interesting, then try pausing after interesting, and then maybe pause right at the very end.
Ah, okay. That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question.
Exactly. Notice how just changing where that little silence falls subtly shifts the emphasis, maybe even the implied meaning.
Yeah, it really does. It makes you much more aware of how pauses actually work in speech, the nuance they add.
Definitely. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Vocal Charisma 101.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Maybe. But it's not about being loud or overly dramatic. It's more subtle. It's about variation in your voice to keep people engaged.
Right, not sounding monotone.
Exactly. So 3 main things to think about here.
Yeah, I'd say pitch, volume, and speed.
Okay, pitch first.
So think about questions versus statements. Native speakers often use a rising inflection at the end of questions, right? Are you coming? Goes up.
And statements.
Tend to go down at the end. I'm going. Falls. It's a basic pattern, but really important for conveying meaning clearly.
Okay, makes sense. Then volume.
It's not about shouting. It's about stressing the key words, the important bits, giving them a little more punch.
Like, this changes everything. You naturally punch changes, right?
Exactly that. It guides the listener's attention.
And the third one was speed.
Yeah, varying your pace. So maybe you slow down a little when you're making a really important point.
Gives it more weight, lets it sink in.
Precisely. It helps the listener process the significance of what you're saying.
Now, we don't actually have a shame file of monotone recordings to play.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, but you can imagine it, right? Listening to someone speak in just one flat, unchanging tone, it's hard work, hard to stay focused.
Definitely. So varying these things, pitch, volume, speed, that's what creates engagement. That's, well, vocal charisma, connecting with your listener.
Right. So how can people practice this?
Well, we've got another practical exercise. We're calling it the mirror test.
Okay, the mirror test. Step 1.
First, grab your phone again. Record a voice note, just explaining something you know well, maybe your research or what you do for work. But imagine you're explaining it to a friend, casually.
Okay, keep it conversational. Then what?
Then listen back. But don't just sit there staring at the phone. Maybe listen while you're walking around doing chores, something like that.
And be honest again.
Super honest. If you just overheard this random person talking, would you actually keep listening? Or would you tune out?
Good question.
If you think you'd tune out, try and pinpoint why. Where does it sound a bit dry, a bit robotic?
Okay, so identify the problem areas.
Then try recording it again. But this time, consciously try to add in maybe 1 or 2 of those casual filler-type phrases we talked about, like sort of, or, just sprinkle them in naturally.
To make it sound less rehearsed.
Exactly. Less like a script, more like you're just talking off the cuff.
And you mentioned a pro tip for this.
Yes. While you're listening back to your revised recording, maybe glance in a mirror if you pass one. If you find yourself kind of nodding along as you listen.
Like you agree with yourself.
Yeah, or you're just engaged by your own voice. That's usually a pretty good sign. It suggests you've hit that sweet spot. Sounds natural, sounds engaging.
I like that. The nodding test. Okay, awesome. So we're nearing the end. Time for some homework.
Homework time. Okay, task 1. We want you to do some ethical eavesdropping.
Ethical eavesdropping.
Yeah, when you're out and about, on the bus, in a cafe, just pay attention to native English speakers chatting. Notice those little filler words they use.
The likes, the I means, the you knows.
Exactly. Just make a mental note, or even jot them down if you can. Get a feel for how often and where they pop up naturally.
Okay, become a filler word spotter. Task 2.
Task 2 is a bit of a challenge. Try rehearsing a short story, maybe something that happened to you recently.
Okay.
But here's the twist. Try to tell it using about half the number of syllables you normally would.
Whoa, half. That sounds hard.
It is. But it forces you to be really concise, to cut out unnecessary words and find more natural, efficient ways to phrase things.
Yeah.
It really pushes you towards that spoken style.
Okay, cool challenge. So eavesdrop on fillers, and try the super concise story. Got it.
And looking ahead.
Yeah, a little teaser for next time.
Next time, we're going to tackle something related. C1 listening decoding natives who mumble-eat words.
Ooh, that's a big one too. So this work on sounding more natural.
Will actually help you understand others when they speak naturally, even when it's fast or maybe not super clear. It all ties together.
Makes sense. And maybe one final piece of advice for today?
I think the biggest thing is try to speak like you're not being graded.
Let go of that perfectionism.
Exactly. That more relaxed mindset, not worrying about every tiny mistake.
Yeah,
It can honestly do wonders for just letting your natural flow come through.
great advice. Oh, and a quick PS.
Yes.
If you want a little cheat sheet, we made one. 7 filler phrases that sound natural. If you want it, just send us a message. We're at English Unlocked on social media.
Use the hashtag #SoundHuman.
Right, #SoundHuman. And we'll send that cheat sheet over to you.
Perfect. So just to quickly recap, why this works, why focus on this stuff?
Well, first, like we said, it tackles that really common frustration for advanced learners. Sounding unnatural even when you're accurate.
All right. Second, it puts the focus squarely on delivery pitch, pause, flow, which often gets kind of missed in language classes, but
Yeah.
is so crucial for real communication.
And third, like you just mentioned, improving your own natural speaking helps you understand other natural speakers better, especially the fast ones.
Win-win. And for next options, if people want to keep working on this area.
Definitely tune in for that next deep dive on decoding mumbles. And we've also got one coming up soon on C1, C2, Small Talk Beyond Weather Topics, getting into more complex casual conversations.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that's about all we have time for in this deep dive. Thanks so much for exploring this with us.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful. Go out there and sound human.